Alright, so remember how last time I said I was going to make all the Kanthal in between the episodes? Well, I've been doing a little bit of that. I've smelted up only 6 ingots so far, but we can actually go ahead and cool these down. But the reason I can't make any more right now is because I'm out of chrome completely. And right now, the way that I'm doing it is I have a bunch of ruby ore here that I'm just going to centrifuge for the chrome. Although, if you guys remember, I only have an LV single block, and that is going to take absolutely forever. So, this was something that I was going to do in between the episodes, but I thought I might as well show it. It's kind of important, but we're actually going to go ahead and craft the steam centrifuge multi-block. It's a little bit expensive on the bronze, almost 500 plates of bronze, but it actually shouldn't be that bad. It's like, what, 8 stacks? I definitely have enough for that. We also need like some bronze gears, rods, frame boxes. It's nothing that you haven't seen before. I'm just here to let you know that, I'm going to be crafting that. Oh, and actually, before I cut here, remember how the IC2 coolant gets used up when you cool down the ingots and then it gives you hot coolant back? Well, we can actually recycle that back into regular coolant pretty much infinitely. So I do want to set that up on camera here. That way you'll actually know that I've been doing it. And all it's going to take is a heat vent, which is, well, cheap enough. Yep, there you go. And then we'll also need some sort of a tank plus a bucket of water. All we need to do is place down the water on any side of the tank, and then you can actually use the heat vent as a cover facing the water, and then all you need to do is put the hot coolant into the tank. Oh, and look at that, it instantly cooled back down. So then you just have to output that back into the machine, which we can do with a couple more pumps. So you just have to allow input from output side, and it's literally completely free. There's nothing extra that you have to do. It just works, and it gives you your coolant back every time. So yeah, that's all I wanted to mention here. I'll just be making the centrifuge here, cooling down a bunch of Kanthal, so it's not stuff that you really need to see. And I guess I'll meet you back in a couple hours once that's done, so that we can actually get started with the episode. Yeah, see you in a bit. Alright, there we go. There's the centrifuge. And there we go. There's a little bit of chrome. Alright, nice. That's gonna take a bajillion years to cook, though. Of course, for the 2 stacks of ingots that we're gonna need for the coils. So yeah, my job is pretty much done here. I will see you in a couple of hours once we actually start the episode. Guess what? It's time for the intro. So, hello everyone and welcome back to GregTech New Horizons. In the last episode, we built this entire base that you see over here, and we also got done with a bunch more MV progress. So, now we have plenty of MV machines here. And our blast furnace here is actually running on HV power. Although, as you can see, for whatever reason, like 5 seconds before I started recording, this thing just power failed, even though there's a bunch of diesel in the tank. So, oh wait, no, it's just, okay. We just have some maintenance problems. Oh, the more maintenance problems you have, the more power the EBF uses. And of course, at some point, well, 4 generators are obviously not going to be enough, and it'll start slowly losing power until it stops. But anyways, as you saw in the beginning clip, I've been making good use of my time here and good use of the EBF, plus the chemical bath that we got, to make ourselves a bunch of Kanthal. Look at this. 2 entire stacks that we can now use. Also looks like we are just out of power to make any more. Which, by the way, I did go ahead and craft the rest of the batteries we were missing. But yeah, also in the beginning clip, we did invest into the steam separator, which is the steam multi-block version of the centrifuge. And I've already processed pretty much every piece of ruby that we had, which ended up giving us 1 stack of chrome here. I think there's more also in the electrolyzer, another 53, plus 1 more stack that I already used in making all this Kanthal. So yeah, all in all, we have a pretty decent amount of that. Anyways, now we should move on to the first part of this episode, which is just going to start off by making 2 stacks of Kanthal into wires. We'll also want like 16 ingots of copper nickel. This we will melt down at MV. Yeah, it has to be MV in the recipe. And that will actually be sent over to the assembler. We are also going to want a bunch of mica, I think 3 stacks for this. And as you've already probably figured out, these ingredients are going to come together to make us the Kanthal coils. It's going to be our second upgrade to the EBF after the energy hatches, of course. So actually, let's already get rid of the copper nickel ones. And by the way, these will not go to waste, actually. They still have a couple of uses in the future. Like in transformers and also the oil cracking unit, but that's not the thing that I'm looking for. This is also not the thing I'm looking for, no. Oh yeah, right here. We can still reuse these coils in LCRs, which are a very important machine after like EV or something. Of course, that's still a while away, but it will happen at some point. But yeah, let me just wait for the rest of these Kanthal coils to be done. And of course, then I'll bring you back. Ooh, the glowing effect is different. Nice. And check this out. The quest actually gives us an HV loot bag. Yeah, let's see what we get out of this. 8 HV motors? That's awesome. Well, that's gonna hang in the... I was gonna say the wall, but I guess mid-air until we can actually use it, of course. Awesome, I was not expecting that. But anyways, it looks like our next goal here is to start actually getting some HV circuits, which I think I'll definitely be doing, yeah. We might as well get started on those because it's going to be quite expensive. Mainly because of the diode cost, honestly. Everything else here is not too bad. We have these now. It's just the diode cost, which I don't think can be mitigated at this stage. Yeah, we don't really have any platinum yet, so we can't make the SMDs. And the best recipes that we can afford is fine annealed copper wire plus small pile of gallium arsenide and some polyethylene. Or we can use wafers instead. The thing with that though is I think this wafer recipe turns out to be a little bit more efficient because one gallium arsenide crystal can be macerated into 2 of the dust, and then that can be made into 8 piles. And that only gives you 48 diodes. On the other hand, if you forge hammer, then make it into the boules, then you get 4 boules, which turns into a whole stack of wafers. And that already equates to 4 stacks of diodes just from 1 gallium crystal versus 48. Oh yeah, that's way better. And I mean, the only difference is that there's more work required. Of course, you need silicon solar grade, you need to cut these things, you need to get some fine annealed copper wire, which I already have prepared. But I mean, honestly, the extra steps is definitely worth the 5x the diode output. Yeah, it's great. I think for now I'll make just 2 stacks of diodes. That's gonna be more than enough. So let's get that going while we do other stuff. Oh, and check it out, I even have 200 of the solar grade dust, so I can make a bunch more of the boules. Oh, and another side note, I just realized the EBF is now using less power because of the Kanthal coils, I think. If you look at the Wayla, it's using 456 EU per tick, unlike before where it was 480. So it's not really a massive discount, but it's still a discount nonetheless. Hello, so my game decided to crash for whatever reason, but anyways, we're back now, and of course our end goal with this is to make some HV circuits. I want to say that I can craft 16 of them. Is a pretty good number? Yeah, I definitely think so, although I'll probably need a bunch more ILCs, which is ruby lenses, so let me get a bunch of those going. And also, let me go ahead and pin everything else we're gonna need. So 16 MV circuits, or as they're called, good integrated circuits, and also the LVs, which is integrated logic circuits. For some reason, that has the exact same name as the wafer, and I mean, all in all, it doesn't actually look that bad. We just need 2 stacks of diodes, which we have, 2 stacks of resistors, which we have. We also need some tin, silver, and annealed copper bolts, which we can easily do with the extruder now. We also need some different fine wires. There's copper, gold, and electrum. And the last thing we're still missing is transistors. We need to smelt up some silicon solar grade, cool it down in the chemical bath, make it into plates, blah blah blah. But we're actually going to be completely skipping this, because I mean, technically we can already make the SMD version. We have the MV assembler, we have polyethylene, we have gallium. We just have to just melt gallium in the furnace. So yeah, you know what? We might as well do it. I'll make like 4 stacks right here. This is way cheaper than going the regular transistor route. Oh, also, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but I've gone ahead and made a little chest here just for all the circuit components. So once we're ready to craft them, I can just grab them out of here. Anyways, here's my gallium foils. And yeah, now we can combine everything in the assembler to make the transistors. Also, by the way, we don't even have to worry about the quest because we can just hold 16 of these guys and it skips straight to that quest, which is nice. And yeah, now we can get to actually crafting our LV stuff. So we got the boards, the ILCs, the tin bolts, the fine copper wire, the diodes, and finally the resistor. And there you have it, a little bit later, 32 LVs. Now we take this other garbage, and yeah, we should be able to upgrade everything to MV already. And again, there we go. There's our MVs. Now we can upgrade them to the HVs already. Yeah, let's grab all the stuff. No circuit board required here, just the MVs, plus ILCs, plus some RAM, the transistors, our refined electrum wire, and the annealed copper bolts. Okay, these ones take a lot longer to make than the other previous tiers. Why? Oh yeah, it's a 40-second recipe. Okay, actually in that case, I'll just let them craft for a while. And we'll come back in a little bit to get the quest. To a little side project that the earlier we get it started, the better. Or well, it's not much of a project. Rather, it's just a nice little automation that will give us a lot of nice loot over time. And well, as you can see, it's not actually going to be that cheap. We are going to need 32 LV pistons for this because we're going to make 16 recyclers. Also half a stack of LV circuits. That's nice. Bunch of motors, a lot of steel. We also want a dispenser and a redstone clock. Oh yeah, plus a 3x3 schematic here, which just comes from the empty schematic, and that's going to be even more circuits. So actually, hold on. First of all, let me get the small steel gears going for the pistons that we're going to need. And honestly, you know what? Even though it looks bad, it's just a lot of what we've already seen before. So we honestly shouldn't actually be too bad. Yeah, let me see how much progress I can make of it right here, and then we'll be back, I guess. All right, awesome. We have everything we need. That was a lot easier to craft than I thought. For the LV machines, at least. Making the dispenser and the redstone clock is absolutely garbage. Anyways, now let's go ahead and set all of this stuff up. So we are going to grab one steam turbine, a little bit of cable, and some item pipes. I'm thinking we'll want an MV conveyor for this. We want the transportation of items to be quite fast. Now for what I want to do, we're going to have to revisit the coke oven setup. And what we're particularly interested in is actually going to be the saplings. We are going to import those into the pipe, and I think we'll go a couple of blocks down here, something like this, and then I'll dig out a little room for us to work in. And so yeah, let's set up our recyclers. It's going to be something like this. We'll dig into the floor, and then we'll just have an array of them. We'll also place down our steam turbine, and of course connect everything with cables. Also, don't worry about the power consumption of these guys. Each one literally only uses like 1 EU per tick, which is, well, it's basically nothing, so you know. Now we want to pipe in the saplings into the recyclers. We will do that something like this. From the side. Let's try and hook up some steam to this, which is already right here. That's perfect. Oh, nice. Okay, I guess it's trying to fill up the power buffer of the machines, which is why only one of them is working at a time. But yeah, at some point, these will actually start working properly. Anyways, as you can see now, from this process, we actually get some scrap. And well, if you've played with IC2 before, you probably already know where this is going. So we're going to go ahead and auto output all of the scrap into one central pipe. Oh, also, it looks like we're just not getting enough steam to the turbine, which is not great. But I guess also connecting a potom pipe from down there all the way to here isn't that expensive either. Yeah, I guess I should do that. All right, yeah, now steam transfer is keeping up. Okay, now what we'll do is take all of that extra scrap and we'll pipe it out to here. Some sort of a room that I'm going to build eventually. I will also need a little bit of power, so we can move the turbine down a block and the cable. So yeah, reconnect everything up. And then I think actually this pipe will move and we'll just steal power from this cable here. Yeah, that should be good. All right, now let me think about how I want to do this. I think we will place down the packager here and then the dispenser below that so that we can auto output. And also, if you're still confused about what we're trying to do here, we are going to have a little setup where we take the scrap. This will then get packaged into scrap boxes. And check this out. We can use those to farm all of these nice things that you can see here. Tin dust, endstone, lazurite, magnesium, vacuum tubes, gold, paper, zinc. It's a bunch of nice goodies actually. Brass, electrum. There's even platinum and tungsten. Aluminum, diamonds, emeralds. Apparently multi-layer fiber reinforced circuit boards, which is way, way far into our future. Now, obviously all of that stuff that I just said is rare. Titanium. All of that stuff is very, very rare. And I'm getting distracted. Diodes and epoxy boards. That's insane. But of course, yeah, all that stuff is very rare. Literally a 0.01% chance. But the thing is that this is all going to be passive and completely free for us. It's literally just saplings, which is just extra garbage. And I also keep the server on like almost 24/7. So all of those resources will build up at some point, and it's going to be nice for once we need them. So I think the setup is definitely worth it for who has a server. But because of that, I don't know if I can recommend this to anyone who is just playing single player. There's much, much better ways to get the same stuff. Anyway, so let's connect up the power like so. Not sure if the cable loss is really going to matter. Well, it actually might. I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about it until it becomes a problem. And also, before I forget, let me get a cobblestone roof here so that if it rains, it won't explode. Don't worry, at some point I'll build a facade probably in between the episodes for this. For now, this is just to get started. But let's see again. So we want to pipe all the scrap, which I will just do from the top like so. And we can bring this pipe over. There we go, we're getting scrap boxes. And it's actually only using 1 EU per tick. Okay, so the cable loss doesn't really matter. And now I think all we need to do is just give the dispenser a redstone signal, which is how we're going to be unboxing these things, like so. Nice, there we go. Gonna stop it for a second though. We've already gotten a couple of nice things. We have some tools, obsidian dust, some more scrap that we can recycle back into this guy, which I think I will definitely do. But first, of course, we're gonna want some sort of a collection system. I think actually just a hopper will be fine. So something like this. Oh wait, no, that's gonna pull the scrap boxes. Then yeah, we'll have to go 1 block lower and then cover it with trapdoors so that the items don't escape. Yeah, there we go, that's good. Oh yeah, and for actually storing all the loot, I think our best bet is just gonna be a bunch of drawers. We can have some 1x2s as well, and some 2x2s for all the garbage basically, like the tools. And then we can just use some sort of a pipe to input into all the drawers. And also, if I shift right click with a screwdriver on the packager, yeah, that enables input filters. I think now only scrap can go into it, which means I should just be able to hook up, a little pipe like so. And that should recycle the scrap. Yeah, that should hopefully work. Anyways, let's turn this guy back on. Okay, and stuff is happening. So that'll just continue working, avoiding all of our saplings that we don't really need, and giving us some pretty decent byproducts. And awesome, yeah. that's setup complete. I think I'm just gonna let this setup run for a couple of minutes here. Although I definitely want to have some sort of an overflow chest for things that aren't in the drawers yet. So I think if we just go a little bit far away, because of course these pipes work off of a distance priority. So we want everything to go into the drawers first before the chest. This should be far enough, yeah. Hopefully now if I just let this run for a couple hours, we will come back to a diamond chest full of garbage, I guess. Actually, wait, I'm realizing we still have one more issue with this. And that's if we fill up on wood, just like we have right now, none of the saplings will get consumed, which means I either want to have... Ouch. As I was saying, it probably means that either I want to have a void upgrade on the wood, or, you know, instead I can actually just use that to feed the recyclers, instead of just outright trashing it for nothing. Yeah, that's probably a decent idea. It'll supplement the saplings. Although we will have to see if this can actually keep up. Just one layer of this farm. I might have to add another one as well, to still be able to feed the coke ovens, of course. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I guess I'll come back in a couple hours, and if we run out of wood, then, you know, we'll deal with it. Oh, and it looks like to me right now, only 2 of the recyclers are working, which, why the hell could that be? Maybe it's just because of the small pipes. I might have to upgrade these to, like, Electrum or something, because those are really good. Yeah, but whatever. Any modifications I'll make just probably in between the episodes or the clips. For now, I'm gonna go AFK as I just said. And yeah, once we come back, I'll remember to check on our HV circuits, which should be done by now. And we'll check if we got anything new. So see you guys in just a moment. Hello, welcome back. It has been a couple of hours later. I just went and took a nap. I'd say it's been like maybe 2 hours or so of letting this thing run. We seem to be recycling wood right now. I guess we're just out of saplings. Let me double check. What? Wait, what is that zombie? Oh my goodness. Wither, Regen, Vengeance, Fiery, Alchemist, Darkness, Quicksand, Blast Off, Sprint. That's a thing. Anyways, we are losing a bit of wood, which is not great. I'm gonna disconnect that for a second. Definitely want to keep the coke ovens running. I mean, we have a huge buffer. I guess I'll let this run for a couple more hours, but I should definitely remember to turn this off after a while. But yeah, let's go to the main part of why I'm bringing you back, of course, which is, you know, what kind of loot did we get? And well, if we look in the chest, honestly not great, but it's also not bad. As in, we got a couple of nice things. It's just that we didn't get them in that large of a quantity, which is fine. I obviously knew that was gonna happen. Scrap is a very slow process right now. So obviously, we're not gonna get much. I mean, things like slime balls, you know, that's great. Gold dust is nice. Lazurite, coal dust, glowstone. There's some pretty decent things all around. Bauxite dust for some reason. This is yeah, this is a source of titanium from rutile. Interesting that we get that. We got a few more dusts here like silver and tin. Wood pulp I already have stored. I don't know. Some of the items get slipped past through the filter, or they get prioritized to the chest even though we have drawers for them. So either I'm just not understanding the priority system correctly, or maybe the distance isn't big enough. Okay. You know, another thing I'm noticing is that there's so much garbage we have to filter out. I might actually need to add a couple more drawers. Maybe like another row over here. And maybe I can even take it down a layer so that I can have a bunch of 2x2s and then extend this down for some more 1x1s for any important drops that we get. Yeah, that should be good. Also, let me extend the item pipes as well. But anyways, yeah, I think for now, I'm quite happy with the progress on this. For now, we gotta go back to something more important, which is first of all, refilling the blast furnaces. But what we want to actually check out is, aha, yes, our HV circuits are done. That also seems to be the end of this quest branch, which means we now have to go to this side and focus on stainless steel. And luckily for us, I've already been preparing some of the materials. So if we look here, stainless steel is just an EBF recipe from the dust, which is going to be 6 iron dust, 1 nickel dust, 1 manganese, and 1 chrome for 9 stainless, which for me, I'm going to make 9 stacks worth of stainless. And yeah, I've already been macerating the iron and nickel dust for that. All we're missing is the chrome and manganese. Or wait, no, are we missing chrome? I should have some here. Oh yeah, I have plenty. So really all we're missing is the manganese, which of course comes from a manganese vein, specifically from the spessartine and pyrolusite. If we look at the processing chain, then we can at some point centrifuge purified pile of spessartine to get the manganese that we need. And then we can electrolyze the spessartine dust itself for some more. And then for the pyrolusite, well, yeah, we can just centrifuge again the impure pile this time. And by the way, these byproducts that you see over here in the macerators, we technically can't get them yet, since even though the recipe is LV, this has to be an HV macerator for you to actually get the byproducts. So that's why I've been completely ignoring this. Although we are soon going to be at HV, so I guess this is probably one of the first machines we should pick up. But yeah, anyways, I just have to go do a little bit of mining and process a little bit of both of these ores. And yeah, I'll be back with all the manganese so we can start making stainless steel. Alright, and there you have it. I am currently now making a little bit of stainless steel. It is a 45-second recipe in the mixer, which, you know, not great, but it also gives you 9 dust at a time, so I guess it's not too bad. It's also 60 seconds to cook just one in the EBF, and that is if you add oxygen as well. So actually the mixer recipe isn't too bad. Anyways, I guess let's go ahead and just try smelt one. I might, yeah, okay, I don't have any oxygen. Hold up. I should really just have a super tank of this, honestly. Yeah, we just use so much of it, and I have a bunch of magnetite here that still needs to be electrolyzed, so, you know. But anyways, there we go. There's your stainless steel. Awesome. It's a very long recipe, so we pretty much want the EBF constantly cooking it, kind of like we did with the aluminum at the beginning. Yeah, pretty much until very recently, I've been constantly letting the EBF cook aluminum. I mean, we're up to 800 here, and I still have way more that needs to be cooked. And all of that is actually still from the same first batch of aluminum that we ever got via way of lazurite ore, which I still have way more than I can ever use up of. Just like 1 or 2 veins of that lasts hundreds and hundreds of hours. But anyways, I'm also realizing the quest for stainless steel is, well, asking for the dust, 72 of it. And I wonder, okay, I have 1 more manganese. That's not really great, although I can centrifuge a little bit more spessartine here. Electrolyzing some spessartine should help as well. Although, wait, I have a trash can behind there. Don't want to trash the oxygen. Again, I want to be building up a huge buffer of it. And by the way, the reason we have a trash can here with a pump on the side is just for electrolyzing clay. We get a byproduct of water, which is completely useless for us. So yeah, I'm just voiding it all. Anyways, a little more stainless, please. And I think I'll just wait until I have a stack here, get the quest. Looking ahead as well, it looks like we also need to have a stack of the fully cooked ingots. That's not great. That's gonna take like an hour or so. In the meanwhile, though, what I want to do is focus on the right side of the quest book. I want to redo a couple of setups here, like polyethylene. And I also want to start making polyvinyl chloride, which of course means that we're gonna have to move all the chemistry upstairs. That is probably going to take me absolutely forever. So I think I'm gonna take a little break here, come back in a few, and we'll start moving everything. Although this sort of thing is probably more appropriate in montage format, so, you know, we'll see what happens. Anyway, see you guys in just a moment. Alright, so welcome back from the montage. And well, as you can see, I have completely moved everything that was downstairs up to here, other than polyethylene, but we'll get back to that just in a second here. So far though, we have diesel reset up and silicon solar grade. And I think this time the diesel setup came out a lot cleaner. You know, since the inputs and outputs aren't buried like 20 feet deep into the pit of machines and pipes and whatnot, they're actually at the front here and easily accessible, which I probably should have done from the start, but you know. Although I guess the sulfur output is still here, but that's just because it has to be here, you know, for item priorities and whatnot. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is that, well, it's working right now, which is great. And so is the solar grade setup. Oh yeah, and of course, how can I forget? The first thing we did was, you know, make a bunch of stainless steel. So if we actually look here, I have 20 manganese dust, a bunch of spessartine left in the washer. Yeah, let's go ahead and forge hammer that. Oh, and oh yeah, a bunch of processed pyrolusite and spessartine, which still needs to be centrifuged, but that shouldn't take too long. And actually, let's check. We have another 40 manganese here. So, you know, I'd say we're doing pretty good on manganese, and we're probably going to be doing good for quite some time. As a matter of fact, I've already managed to craft the 9 stacks of stainless that we had going on. It's cooking up right now, and we are up to 57. Okay, that's not bad. Remember, the quest here wants a full stack, so it'll definitely be done by the time that we have polyethylene set back up. Also, I hear a zombie. Where could have a zombie possibly spawned? Oh, where the hell did you spawn from? But alright, anyways, a couple last things to note here is, for powering all of these LV machines, we have a couple steam turbines in the back, right over here going into a battery buffer, so same setup that we had before. But now, instead of using regular tin cables, which of course has a loss of 1 EU per block, we're using redstone alloy, which is different than red alloy. It's this ingot right here that we get from the blast furnace. I'm sure you guys remember we made this a couple episodes back. And this is actually the lossless cable at LV. As you can see in the tooltip, 0 EU loss per meter, which is great. That means we don't get hit any over amperage. So now, even though everything is running at max power draw, at least I think, we are still able to handle the power draw, which is nice. Although actually, now that I think about it, I think we were actually running out of power before because, well, we were trying to share the same 4 amps between this and the polyethylene. But this is going to get its own little thing now, so it shouldn't be a problem anymore. Oh yeah, and of course, we're also using the redstone alloy cable here. And I think one last thing before we go to polyethylene is that we no longer have to worry about our oxygen supply. Look at this. I have over 200 buckets here, and we're also going to get a bunch more from all this spursartine electrolysis. That's actually how I've been able to get so much already. So actually, as a matter of fact, let me electrolyze a little bit more. But all right, cool. Yeah, now let's move on. So here's the deal, right? I want to go ahead and make polyethylene right over there, which I can definitely fit in that little space. But as I mentioned earlier, I also want to add PVC to it, and I haven't actually checked how many machines we're going to need for that. Actually, it doesn't seem like a whole lot. Just one chemical reactor with ethylene plus chlorine or vinyl chloride, and then another one to add oxygen to make it polyvinyl chloride. So that's 2 chemical reactors plus an electrolyzer for chlorine, which I think will just be electrolyzing salt again. I have a lot of this stuff. I might as well be using it up. Oh yeah, and we also get a byproduct of hydrochloric acid that we can then also electrolyze for a little bit of our chlorine back. It's not all 100% loop, but at least we get half back, which is nice. Plus a byproduct of hydrogen, which isn't that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. Just 2 more chemical reactors plus an electrolyzer. Let me go craft those up. Oh yeah, and I also want to show this. Now that we have a little bit of polyethylene, we can also make machine hulls a lot easier or a little bit cheaper. Just the casings plus cable. And you know, it doesn't require the extra plate and wrought iron. It's not that much cheaper, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. Anyways, yeah, here you go. There's my chemical reactors. And there's the electrolyzer as well. And I'm also kind of just now realizing that as a part of ethylene, we need refinery gas, which is desulfurization. And that kind of needs another MV electrolyzer. Yeah, because I really don't want to fit it in here. Here's our MV electrolyzer. Oh yeah, we'll also want our usual battery buffers as well. Plus a couple steam turbines here. And just as I am ready to actually build this, I am realizing it is getting late for me. So this is going to be a job for tomorrow, me. Yeah, I really need to go to bed. See you in a bit. All right, almost 24 hours later, let's actually get started with this. So let's see here. We were trying to set up polyethylene, which is just going to require 2 distilleries to start off with. Let's also see about adding a battery buffer, which I guess can go anywhere. Let's place it like over here, I think, and then add our steam turbine. Probably also need a little bit more steam throughput here. So let's get a bigger pipe going. So let's say that our oil input is going to go here. And also, I have no idea why I put the Of course, it starts thundering. But I was gonna say, I have no idea why I put the distillery there, but I'm supposed to have the chemical reactor. And then let's see, we're gonna have sulfuric gas going there from our oil input, of course. Let me steal a little bit from here just to get started with. And that also reminds me, I should keep a super tank here at the oil pump just to have that going for as much time as possible. All right, now we just use a pump on the tank for the oil, and we want this on circuit 4. Oh yeah, and now we have to actually use cells of hydrogen since, you know, we have the gas as a liquid. That's actually completely fine. And this has to be on circuit 4 again. All right, now this refinery gas has to go into another chemical reactor, which needs an input of steam. So we can do that from the bottom, like so. Oh yeah, and this is the part where we have to electrolyze the hydrogen sulfide. Let's see, we'll definitely want another MV combustion generator. All right, there we go. And now let's think. So we want the refinery gas probably go into some sort of a tank. And I'm using a pump for this just because I like to keep the auto output for items more than fluids. Because, well, conveyors are just really slow. One stack every 20 seconds is absolutely horrendous. If we auto output at least, it's going to be, you know, a much more bearable speed. But yeah, the refinery gas we want to put in cells. And then this we combine with steam on circuit 3. So if we just use a conveyor here and then put that in there, we do have to face the chemical reactor away. And we want to cycle the cells back and forth. So we need another conveyor. Or wait, no, I'll just use the item auto output on this side and then a screwdriver so that we can input from output side and do the same thing on the conveyor. So there you go. There's the severely steam cracked refinery gas. And I think the last step is to just distill this. That's actually easy enough. Yeah, just a cable and then distillery. And then what's ethylene? Okay, we just have to distill this on circuit 3. There's my carbon dust. Just output that to the bottom drawer. Matter of fact, we already had a drawer for this. And then for the ethylene, I definitely want to buffer that into some sort of a tank. All right, now let's deal with the hydrogen sulfide. We'll just need an output for sulfur, of course. And then again, we'll input from output side with the hydrogen sulfide cells and whatnot. And that's actually pretty much it. We just have to give this guy some diesel. Just a few cells here to get it started with. Yep, there we go. But now let's auto output the sulfur to the side. And then just a conveyor with allow input. And that should be good as long as the chemical reactor also input from output side, which I don't think is the case. So let's fix that. And cool, there you go. That's actually very neatly done. All we're missing now is one last chemical reactor that is going to get ethylene plus oxygen to give us polyethylene. Now, oxygen input can come from here, I think. And then for the polyethylene output, we're going to have a super tank. I just need to put another pump up there, and then that'll output into a pipe. And of course, we're going to auto output items to cycle the cells around between the oxygen tank. Oh, and guess what? We are already having power problems. So time for another steam steam turbine. Okay, that looks like it helped a little bit, which is nice. But I'm thinking that maybe I should take some of the extra power that we get from the combustion generator and put that into some sort of a transformer to, of course, help the setup along. Because obviously, well, the electrolyzer is not going to be running full time. So, you know, we're just kind of wasting that power, I feel like. Right now, though, what we want to do is, of course, put in some cells and then let me grab a little bit of oxygen. Oh, yeah, and I don't even have a conveyor on there. Okay, cool. And this just has to be on circuit 1. And yeah, then that goes into our polyethylene buffer. Now, all that's left to do is add the PVC. And the only problem I can see with that is the power demands. Okay, so hi, I ended up connecting the combustion generator into a transformer into our battery buffer because we were just having way too many power problems, and I still need to add a couple more machines here. So, you know, if we keep having those, it's not going to be really great. But all we're really doing is we have the combustion generator here going into the cable that powers the MV electrolyzer, and then it's also going into the input of this transformer, which is outputting its power into the battery buffer, and not over here at the cable line. Just because if we do this, then it could lead to some situations where the machines use more than 4 amps, and it tries to pull in 4 amps from here and 4 amps from the battery buffer at the same time, but our cable can only handle 4 amps max, which will lead it to burn, you know, since it's trying to pull 8 amps in total. So yeah, we're sending that to the battery buffer. This kind of limits the power. Although honestly, I might make this into an 8x battery buffer because, well, I was planning to route the power from the transformer straight into the machines. That way I don't steal any power away from that buffer, which is powering all these guys. But then again, we can end up with a situation where the battery buffer is trying to pull too many amps plus the machines, and then it burns and everything goes down in flames, and I don't want that to happen, so we're just gonna upgrade the battery buffer. Let me just recycle my cables here, and then we can solidify these back into the ingots, and then I'm gonna wire mill these again into the ATEX version. Of course, we'll also want a couple more batteries, and then the battery buffer itself. Okay, now I think I have everything on me, so let's start getting rid of this stuff. And also, just to save on a little bit of cable, we can also mix and match different sizes together, because we know that these two machines here aren't going to consume more than 4 amps ever. So this cable here shouldn't burn, even though it's connected to ATEX. On this side, though, we will have a couple more machines, so we definitely want ATEX all the way. This chemical reactor can also have a 4x cable, and I think now we're safe to put in the battery buffer. Let me just set the output and then connect it. The transformer here is only ever going to give us 4 amps, so we can connect a 4x cable to that. And I guess let's try giving diesel to the combustion generator. It's working flawlessly. Awesome. Okay, cool. Now, finally, let's actually get to polyvinyl chloride. So, let's see. I think it's probably going to look something like this. Chemical reactor here taking ethylene from the tank. This needs to get chlorine, so we'll put that down here. This is the electrolyzer for like salt. So let's get a conveyor on that, importing from this barrel right here. Although wait, just before these machines become inaccessible, let's allow input from output side, just in case we need it. So now you can have your conveyor back. Also, here's a little bit of salt for you to get started with. And I guess we just need to export the chlorine up. I'm now realizing it has to be in cells, but I'm not going to be doing that. Instead, I think we will have the ethylene actually be in cells. And then yeah, we'll item auto output the cells back into the tank. Once the recipe is done running, we just need to auto output the chlorine. Okay, and for us, we're gonna run the circuit 1 recipe, which gives us the vinyl chloride as fluid and the hydrochloric as items. Although what we need to do is auto output that back into the electrolyzer down here on circuit 1. It'll give us the chlorine back as fluid. That'll go into the chemical reactor as normal, plus hydrogen cells. So actually we will be auto outputting items like so, and then we'll use a pump for inserting the chlorine back into the chemical reactor like so. For the sodium, that's just a byproduct that we don't care about. You get a drawer that will be hidden back there. And then for the hydrogen byproduct, I think we'll just send that over here like so. Now this empty cell here actually has to go back into the ethylene tank somehow, but we don't want it to go back into the electrolyzer. So what I actually want to do here is disable auto input from output side. That way we can have a conveyor on top of the super tank, which will export the empty cells into the first available storage. And well, since it can't go into the sodium drawer and it can't go back into the electrolyzer, since this is the output side, it should hopefully find its way back here. Oh yeah, there we go. And yeah, now we have more chlorine, more ethylene again in cells, and that gives us more vinyl chloride. Oh yeah, let's also have the salt input back. And now the last thing before we are fully finished with this is going to be the second oxygen input. I want to keep them separated because since we have such a large buffer of polyethylene and we're going to have another super tank for PVC, if we just have them share the oxygen input, then we could end up with a case where we make it all into polyethylene and none of it goes into PVC, or the opposite happens. And I don't want that. I want to be precisely able to control how much we make of each. And we're just going to limit that by the oxygen input. So again, a 4x cable because there's only 2 machines here, so no more than 4 amps should be pulled. And again, we just have to have our usual conveyors. Nothing special here, just remember to input from output side and then auto output the items. Last thing we should need is a pump to output the vinyl chloride, which actually I remember there being a quest. Yeah, let's grab that before it's too late. Okay, now we just set this chemical reactor to circuit 1. Then we can have a pump to output into our super tank, of course. Alright, awesome. Finally done with the setup. And let's check up on our stainless steel. Oh. Oh my goodness. Okay. I may or may not have spent a little too long on that setup. Anyways, let's grab the quest. Yep, this is probably gonna last a single episode, but it's still better than nothing. This will go right next to aluminum, of course. But yeah, coming back to the quest, it wants 125 cells, which is about 19 buckets. So it's not that much. It's just gonna take a little processing time, and also I need more oil. Oh, but looks like the pump has 500 buckets in here already. And yeah, so there you have it, actually. We once again have polyethylene and diesel, and we also have PVC now. I do also have one last project before I end out the episode, but I do need to go edit all the footage to see if we have enough time for that. So yeah, I guess I'll see you in a bit once I actually do that. All right, well, it looks like we don't have that much time left in the episode, so I think we're gonna tackle two more little problems here regarding fluid transportation, because I've been noticing lately that our steam transportation just isn't enough, especially now with all of those setups running. And I actually confirmed this the other day that whenever the pipes are at maximum capacity, we're only able to extract one boiler's worth of steam, even though we have two of them running right now. And so right now we're actually only accessing half as much steam as we can potentially have. And so what I'm thinking is that we just upgrade this main steam line to the huge potent pipe. I can easily do that with the extruder now, although it is 12 ingots per, which, oh, that's not really great. I mean, it should be fine. I've already been macerating all the materials that we need for another batch of this stuff, and so that's gonna happen in the background. I'll actually do it in between the episodes. You don't need to see me change out the potent pipes. What you do need to see me do is actually hooking up, you know, our diesel around the entire base. Also, don't worry, it's not that we actually have only 76 buckets here. It's just that most of it is at the EBF right here, 600. Although, of course, that's about to change. We are going to start piping the fuel around to where it needs to go. I'm gonna use the small potent pipe for this, just because number one, I want to be easily able to distinguish it between the steam line, and this small pipe should be more than enough. If we ever exceed 2 buckets per second of diesel usage, well, I'm gonna be very surprised, and also we'll have bigger problems to fix. All right, so now let me start by making a bunch of the small potent pipe, and let me just decide here what's the shortest route that'll go to each area that needs it. I'll even place a couple waypoint markers here just to help a little bit. All right, and now let's actually get to placing down the pipes. And yeah, alright, everything should have diesel by now. Everything that we have so far. The MV setup, the polyethylene, the EBF as well, and I think that's about everything. Last thing is now to start making some large potent pipes, or actually the huge ones. And yeah, this I will use in the steam line. So actually, yeah, now I think is a perfect time to wrap up the episode. We've done some very significant progress quest-wise. It looks like next episode we'll be getting into some HV stuff, which is actually perfect because I do have a couple setups left that I want to do, but they are locked behind HV. So now that we're there, we can actually get to those. It also looks like one of my favorite portions of this pack is about to open up, which is when you unlock the clean room and can actually mass produce circuits. But yeah, of course, that's gonna have to wait until next time. In between the episodes, I think I'll be trying to make as much diesel and as much of the ethylene products as possible. Yeah, I need to go mining for salt so we can actually get some chlorine in here, get some more oil for this guy to work, some more oxygen and whatnot. Yeah, just some chores around the base. And yeah, soon enough, we're gonna be completely done with MV as well. Oh yeah, and I also definitely want to get into some enderio by now. Completely forgot about this mod, yeah. But anyways, that's gonna have to wait until next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. We'll come back next time to do the things that I just said, but for now though, have a great rest of your day.